The morning began like any other on the quiet colony world of Iridian 4. The twin suns were rising above the blue forests, painting the sky with shades of gold and purple. Inside a small home built on the edge of the human settlement, Ethan Cross was making his morning drink, a steaming cup of dark synth coffee. His house was silent except for the soft hum of cleaning drones. But today something felt slightly different. It was too quiet, even for Iridian mornings. Ethan looked around and noticed that his new housemaid Lyra wasn't in sight. Lyra wasn't human. She was one of the Arvelians, a peaceful alien race who had recently started working with humans after the Alliance Treaty. She was quiet, polite, and always seemed a little shy. Her pale silver skin glimmered under sunlight, and her bright emerald eyes often avoided his gaze. Ethan had hired her 3 weeks ago, mostly to help around the house while he worked on his engineering projects. But lately he had begun to notice strange things. She avoided mirrors. She stayed up late, sometimes whispering in a language he couldn't understand. Once he thought he saw her eyes glowing faintly in the dark, but maybe that was just the reflection of the lights. This morning, when he called her name, no answer came. That was unusual. Lyra never ignored him. He frowned, placing his cup on the table, and walked toward the hallway. The soft sound of a cleaning brush came from the back room. He followed it carefully, his curiosity growing stronger with every step. The door to the storage room was slightly open. Through the narrow gap, Ethan saw a faint blue light glowing inside. He pushed the door open slowly, trying not to startle her. Inside, Lyra stood frozen near the wall. Her hands hovered above a strange device, small, metallic, and glowing faintly. The device wasn't human-made. Its shape was organic, almost alive, shifting slightly like liquid metal. For a moment, Ethan couldn't speak. He didn't know what he was looking at, but his instincts told him it wasn't something she wanted him to see. When Lyra noticed him, her eyes went wide. She didn't move. She didn't speak. The glowing light reflected in her pupils, making them look almost like two green suns. For a full minute, neither of them said anything. The silence in the room was heavy. Ethan's heart began to beat faster. "What is that?" he finally asked, his voice calm but cautious. Lyra blinked once, her lips parting slightly. "You were not supposed to see this," she whispered softly, her voice trembling. Ethan took a slow step closer. "Lyra, if there's something dangerous here, you have to tell me." Her head shook quickly. "It's not dangerous," she said, "but it is not for human eyes." The device pulsed once, a gentle wave of light running across its surface. Ethan felt a faint vibration in the air, as if the room itself was holding its breath. "Then why hide it?" he asked. "You can trust me." Lyra looked down, her long silver hair falling over her face. For the first time, Ethan saw something like fear in her expression. Not of him, but of something else. "This device. It is part of my true self," she whispered. "I am not only a maid, my people. We are more than we seem." Her words filled the air with confusion and wonder. Ethan didn't understand what she meant. Was she hiding her real identity? Was she part of some secret mission? He wanted to ask more, but the glowing object suddenly dimmed and vanished, melting into the floor like water sinking into sand. Lyra took a step back and pressed her hands together. Her voice was soft and shaking. "Please do not speak of this. If the others know, I will be taken away." Ethan wanted to reassure her, but he also wanted answers. Who were the others? Why would they take her? And what was that device? He had so many questions, but one look at her eyes, wide, shining, full of fear, made him stop. He nodded slowly. "All right, Lyra, I won't say a word." She stared at him for a long moment, searching his face for truth. Then, with a small sigh of relief, she bowed her head and quietly left the room. Ethan stood there, staring at the spot where the device had vanished. His mind was spinning. Something about his maid, something deep, hidden, and powerful, was now clear. She wasn't just an alien worker. She was carrying secrets that could change everything he knew about the Arvelians, and maybe even about humanity itself. And for the first time, Ethan realized this quiet, silver-skinned woman might be the key to something far greater than either of them could imagine. The rest of the day passed in uneasy silence. Ethan tried to act normal, pretending to read reports on his datapad, but his thoughts kept returning to the glowing device and the fear in Lyra's eyes. He had seen many strange technologies in his career as an engineer, but nothing like that. The way it pulsed and melted away made no sense. It was as if it was alive, responding to her emotions. Every time Lyra walked past him, she kept her head down. Her movements were quiet, almost too careful. Ethan wanted to ask her what was really going on, but he knew pushing too hard would only make her close off more. She seemed fragile, like someone carrying a secret that could break her if spoken aloud. That night, when the second sun dipped below the forest horizon, a cool blue light filled the sky. Ethan stood near the window watching the alien stars. Iridian 4 was beautiful but lonely. Many humans had moved here to start fresh after the galactic expansion, but they were still strangers in a world that wasn't truly theirs. The Arvelians, though peaceful, kept to themselves. Most humans barely knew anything about their culture or history. He looked over his shoulder. Lyra was standing near the door, her hands folded neatly. "I have finished cleaning, sir," she said softly. Ethan gave a small nod. "Thank you, Lyra, and about earlier, you don't need to worry. I meant what I said. I won't tell anyone." She looked surprised by his calm tone. "You truly mean that?" she asked, her voice gentle but uncertain. "Yes," Ethan replied. "Whatever you're hiding, it's your choice. But I just hope it's not something that could hurt you." For a moment, her green eyes met his. There was gratitude there and something else, a deep sadness he couldn't understand. "It is not meant to hurt," she whispered. "It is meant to protect." Before Ethan could ask what she meant, she turned away and left the room. Later that night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The strange glow of the stars filtered through his window, painting his walls with soft light. He kept thinking about her words, "It is meant to protect." What could that mean? Was she protecting herself or something else? Unable to rest, he got up and walked quietly to the living room. As he passed through the hallway, he heard a faint humming sound, low and rhythmic like a song sung under one's breath. It came from Lyra's room. The door was slightly open. Curiosity pulled him closer. He peeked through the gap. Inside, Lyra stood in the center of the room, her eyes closed. The same strange device had appeared again, floating in front of her. It glowed brighter now, casting soft blue rings of light that circled her body. She moved her hand slowly, shaping the light like she was weaving it. Ethan could feel warmth radiating from the doorway. Suddenly, she whispered something in her native language. The device responded. Its light grew stronger, forming a thin layer around her like a shield. Ethan realized it wasn't just a tool. It was connected to her, bonded in some way beyond human understanding. Then, without warning, the device pulsed sharply. A wave of light spread out, touching the walls and floor. Ethan stumbled back as a faint hum passed through him. The device flickered, then dimmed again. Lyra's eyes opened, and she turned toward the door. Their eyes met. This time she didn't look afraid. Instead, she looked resigned. "You saw again," she said softly. Ethan stepped forward, guilt and curiosity mixing inside him. "I didn't mean to spy. I just heard something strange." She nodded slowly. "It is all right. Perhaps it is time you know." Ethan's heart quickened. "Know what?" Lyra touched her chest lightly. "I am not just a maid. My true purpose is to observe and protect my people. We guard ancient knowledge, memories from before the stars had names. That device is part of those memories." Ethan was speechless. Why hide something like that? "Because humans are not ready," she said, lowering her gaze. "Your kind grows fast, learns fast, but also destroys fast. The Council fears you will use our knowledge as a weapon." Her words hit him hard. He wanted to deny it, but deep inside he knew she was right. Humanity had often rushed into power without thinking of the cost. "Then why come here?" he asked quietly. Lyra looked at him, her eyes glowing softly. "Because I wanted to believe in something different. I wanted to believe humans could change." For a long time they stood there in silence, the only sound being the soft hum of the alien device fading away. Ethan realized then that Lyra wasn't just another worker or stranger. She was a bridge between two worlds, one built on hope, the other on mistakes. And for the first time he understood. Her secret wasn't just dangerous. It was sacred. The next morning came quietly. The twin suns rose once again, casting golden light across the colony. Ethan woke early, his mind still filled with the memories of last night. Lyra's words echoed inside him. "We guard ancient knowledge." It sounded like something out of legend, yet he had seen the proof with his own eyes. When he stepped into the living room, Lyra was already there, standing near the table with her hands clasped politely. She had prepared his usual morning drink and seemed calm, but there was a tired look in her eyes. "Good morning, Lyra," Ethan said softly. She nodded. "Good morning, sir." They shared a quiet moment. It was clear that both of them were thinking about what had happened. Ethan decided to speak first. "Lyra, I want to understand. You said that your people protect ancient memories. What kind of memories are they?" Lyra hesitated. "They are records of the first light," she said slowly. "It is what we call the beginning, when the stars were born and when we first learned to travel among them." Ethan leaned forward. "You mean your people were exploring the galaxy long before humans?" "Yes," she replied, her voice low but steady. "The Arvelians existed long before humanity reached the stars. But with great knowledge came danger. Many races sought power from the things we discovered. Wars began. We chose to hide the truth, keeping it only among those sworn to guard it." Ethan listened carefully. Every word she spoke painted a picture larger than anything he had imagined. Humanity always believed they were newcomers to the galaxy, but hearing this made him realize how young they truly were. "So that device," he said, "is part of this ancient memory?" She nodded. "It is a shard of the first light. It holds energy and knowledge beyond understanding. Even our scientists do not fully grasp it. That is why it must stay hidden. If someone took it—" She paused, her eyes clouding with fear. "It could bring ruin," Ethan frowned. "Then why bring it here? You said the Council fears humans. If they found out, they might panic." Her voice grew soft. "It was not supposed to be here. I brought it without permission." Ethan blinked. "You stole it?" She lowered her gaze. "Not to harm anyone. I took it because I believed humanity deserved a chance to prove they could protect, not destroy." Her confession left Ethan speechless. He could see the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between loyalty to her people and hope for a better future. Before he could answer, a loud beep echoed from the wall console. Ethan turned quickly. A message flashed across the screen, a signal from the colony's security system. "Unknown vessel detected, descending rapidly." Ethan's heart tightened. Visitors were rare on Iridian 4, and unexpected ships never meant good news. "That's not a normal flight path," he said. "It's heading straight toward the settlement." Lyra's expression turned pale. "They found me." "Who?" Ethan asked. "The Council's seekers," she whispered. "They track forbidden energy. They must have sensed the shard." Ethan stepped closer. "If they're coming for you, we need to hide it." "And you?" Lyra shook her head. "No, hiding will not work. They can feel its presence anywhere on this world." Ethan looked toward the window. The distant sky shimmered as a sleek silver ship entered the atmosphere, its light cutting through the clouds like a blade. "Then we have to do something," he said firmly. "I won't let them take you." She stared at him in surprise. "You would stand against them for me?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. "You trusted me with your secret." "I won't betray that." For a moment she looked at him with wide eyes, the same eyes that once showed fear, now filled with something new. Hope. "Then we must move fast," she said. "The shard must be secured. If they capture it, all worlds could suffer." They rushed to the storage room. Lyra knelt down, touching the floor where the device had vanished before. A soft hum filled the air as it rose again, glowing brighter than ever. The walls trembled slightly as if the house itself could feel the power. Ethan grabbed a containment case from his workbench, a shielded box made to hold unstable energy cores. "Will this hold it?" he asked. Lyra studied it for a moment, then nodded. "For a short time." Together they placed the glowing shard inside. The light dimmed slightly, but its warmth remained. Lyra closed the case and held it close. Outside, the sound of engines grew louder. A blue light flashed across the window. The seekers had landed. Ethan turned to Lyra. "Whatever happens, I'll protect you." Lyra met his gaze, her voice trembling but strong. "Then may the first light guide us both." As the footsteps approached the door, both knew their quiet lives on Iridian 4 were about to change forever. The sound of engines echoed outside the house, shaking the walls. Blue lights flashed through the windows, casting long shadows across the floor. Ethan could see dark figures moving toward the front door, tall, cloaked beings with glowing eyes. Lyra gripped the small containment case tightly against her chest. Her hands trembled, but her face remained calm. "They will not harm you if they think you are innocent," she whispered. Ethan shook his head. "I'm not letting them take you away." A heavy knock echoed through the door. The sound was strong enough to make the floor vibrate. Lyra took a deep breath, straightened her posture, and walked slowly toward it. Ethan followed closely behind, ready for whatever came next. When the door opened, 2 Arvelians stood outside. They looked similar to Lyra, but older and more severe. Their silver skin gleamed under the sun's light, and symbols glowed faintly across their foreheads. They carried slender staffs that hummed softly with energy. The taller one spoke first, his voice deep and calm. "Lyra of House Varen, you are charged with theft of a sacred shard of the First Light. You know the punishment." Lyra lowered her head respectfully. "I know," she said softly. "But I took it not for greed, but for hope." The second seeker stepped forward. "Hope does not excuse disobedience. You have broken the ancient vow." His glowing eyes turned toward Ethan. "Human, this matter is not yours. Leave us." Ethan stood firm. "I can't do that." She didn't mean any harm. She only wanted to understand, to believe in us. The seekers exchanged a glance. The taller one tilted his head. "You defend her?" "Yes," Ethan said. "She trusted me. I saw what the shard can do. It's not a weapon and it's alive. You can't just take her away for trying to help." The seeker's eyes glowed brighter. "You have seen the shard?" Ethan hesitated but nodded. "I have." A long silence followed. Then the taller seeker's tone softened slightly. "Then you understand the danger. That knowledge alone could destroy your world." Lyra stepped forward. "He will not use it wrongly," she said. He saw the truth, that humans can protect, not only conquer. But the second seeker raised his staff. "Enough, the council will decide your fate. Both of you will come." Ethan's mind raced. He couldn't let them take her. He glanced toward the workbench where one of his old energy tools rested. It was small but strong enough to create a short blast of light, maybe enough to distract them. He took a step back, pretending to comply. Lyra noticed his movement. Her eyes widened slightly in warning, but she didn't stop him. In one swift motion, Ethan grabbed the tool and pressed the trigger. A bright flash filled the room. The seekers stumbled back, momentarily blinded. "Run!" Ethan shouted. Lyra hesitated only for a second, then followed. They rushed through the back door and out into the open fields behind the house. The air was cool and heavy with the scent of alien flowers. The twin suns glimmered above as they ran across the grassy plain. Behind them, the seekers recovered quickly. A blast of blue energy struck the ground near Ethan, throwing up dust. "They're closing in," he shouted. Lyra clutched the case tighter. "There is a shelter beyond the ridge. If we reach it, I can shield us." They ran faster, their footsteps pounding against the earth. Ethan's heart raced. He could hear the seekers' voices echoing in the distance, chanting words that made the air shimmer. Blue light chased them like lightning. Finally, they reached the ridge, a rocky hill overlooking a small cave hidden among glowing plants. Lyra darted inside, motioning for Ethan to follow. Once inside, she placed the case on the ground and pressed her hand against the wall. A soft blue pattern spread out under her palm, forming a circle of light around them. The cave trembled slightly, then settled into silence. Outside, the faint hum of the seekers' voices faded. Ethan gasped for breath, his chest rising and falling. What did you do?" "It is a shield of silence," Lyra said softly. "They cannot sense us here, not for a while." Ethan sat beside her, trying to calm his heartbeat. The soft glow of the shield filled the cave with gentle light. Lyra looked down at the case, her eyes reflecting its faint shine. "I never wanted this," she whispered. "I only wanted to show them that humans could care, that you could protect something not made by your kind." Ethan looked at her, his voice quiet but firm. "You did show me, and I'll prove it to them, that humanity is more than what they fear." Her eyes met his. There was exhaustion there, but also trust. "Then we must keep the shard safe together," she said. Ethan nodded. "We will." Outside, the seekers searched the skies, their lights sweeping across the land. But inside the cave, for the first time, both human and Arvelian sat side by side, bound not by duty, but by faith. Neither of them knew that this moment would soon decide the fate of both their worlds. The cave was quiet, but the silence was heavy. Ethan sat on the smooth rock floor, leaning against the wall, while Lyra knelt before the containment case. The soft glow of the shard illuminated her face, making her emerald eyes shine like polished gems. She moved with careful, deliberate gestures, whispering in her own language. The glow of the shard pulsed with each word she spoke as if responding to her voice. Ethan watched in awe. "It's incredible," he said softly. "I've never seen anything like it." "It is not meant for casual eyes," Lyra replied, her tone gentle but firm. "It holds knowledge and power that could change the balance of worlds. That is why I hide it. That is why I protect it." Ethan's fingers itched to touch the case, but he knew better. One wrong move could ruin everything. "Then how do we keep it safe?" "The Seekers will not give up." Lyra straightened, her gaze fixed on the glowing shard. "We must move. The longer it stays in one place, the easier it is for them to trace. I know of a hidden sanctuary, a place my people built centuries ago before the Arvelians spread across the galaxy. If we reach it, the shard will be beyond their reach." Ethan nodded. "Lead the way." They left the cave cautiously, moving through the tall blue-leafed forests of Iridian 4. The twin suns hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that shifted with the wind. Ethan kept his eyes on the horizon, watching for any signs of the Seekers. Every rustle of the leaves made him tense. Lyra led the way silently, moving with the grace of someone who had navigated these forests countless times. Ethan struggled to keep up, but he trusted her instincts. She paused only occasionally, checking behind them, ensuring they weren't being followed. Hours passed and the suns began to set. The light turned soft and pink, reflecting off the floating crystal plants scattered across the landscape. Finally, they arrived at a hidden valley surrounded by towering cliffs. In the center was a structure carved into the stone, ancient and glowing faintly with Arvelian energy. "This is it," Lyra said. "The Sanctuary of First Light." Ethan stared in awe. The entrance was massive, etched with symbols that pulsed faintly. A soft hum filled the air, vibrating in his chest like a song. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Lyra nodded. "It has been waiting for centuries, untouched. Only the worthy may enter." She looked at Ethan. "You have already proven your worth. You care for life beyond your own. That is rare among humans." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had always thought humans were reckless, driven by ambition. But Lyra's words made him realize that there was more: courage, loyalty, and hope. Together they moved toward the entrance. Lyra extended her hand, touching the glowing symbols. The light spread across the door, forming a protective barrier. The shard inside the containment case pulsed in response. Slowly, the massive door slid open, revealing a grand hall filled with shimmering pools of energy and floating lights. "This place," Ethan breathed. "It's alive." Lyra smiled faintly. "It is. The sanctuary is connected to the shard. It amplifies its power, making it nearly impossible for the Seekers to find." Ethan followed her into the hall. The air was warm, humming with energy that seemed to flow into his veins. He felt stronger, more alert, as if the sanctuary itself was acknowledging him. "Place the shard here," Lyra instructed, guiding him to a circular pedestal in the center of the hall. "It will bond with the sanctuary, creating a protective field. Even the council will not be able to reach it now." Ethan carefully placed the case on the pedestal. The shard floated out gently, spinning and glowing. Its light expanded, filling the hall with a soft radiance. The energy pulsed like a heartbeat, and Ethan could feel a sense of peace wash over him. "It is safe," Lyra said, her voice calm but filled with relief. "For now, at least." Ethan looked around the sanctuary. This changes everything. You trusted me and I kept my word. I'll protect this place and I'll help you protect it." Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Then perhaps hope is not lost. Perhaps humans can be more than their mistakes." Outside, the sun disappeared behind the horizon, leaving the sky dotted with stars. The world beyond seemed distant, small and fragile, but inside the sanctuary a new alliance had formed. Human courage and Arvelian wisdom stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ethan knew the Seekers would not give up easily, but now he understood something powerful. When humans and Arvelians worked together, they could protect not just a shard of memory, but the future of entire worlds. And for the first time, he felt that humanity had a real chance to rise beyond fear, to become something greater than itself. The night in the sanctuary was calm, but the peace was only temporary. Ethan sat near the glowing pools, watching the shard pulse softly on the pedestal. Lyra moved gracefully around the hall, her hands tracing the energy patterns in the air. The sanctuary hummed quietly, responding to her presence, but outside the world remained dangerous. "They will not stop searching," Lyra said, her voice low. "The Seekers will not give up until they find the shard again." Ethan nodded. "Then we need a plan. We can't just wait for them to come." Lyra's green eyes glimmered. "The sanctuary protects the shard, yes, but it cannot protect us outside these walls. We must ensure no one follows us when we leave. And if we are discovered, we must be ready to fight." Ethan swallowed. He had never fought against aliens before, but he knew he couldn't let them take Lyra or the shard. "Then we prepare," he said firmly. "We'll use what we have and we'll be smart. They can't outthink humans when we work together." She gave him a small, approving smile. "Humans do have courage." "That is true. For hours they trained." Ethan learned to handle simple energy tools that Lyra provided, ones that could emit short pulses of light strong enough to stun, but harmless enough not to damage the surroundings. Lyra guided him, showing him patterns of movement and ways to remain unseen. In return, Ethan shared strategies he had learned from his engineering work, traps, sensors, and ways to use the environment to their advantage. As the twin suns began to rise on the horizon, a soft blue glow lit the sanctuary. Lyra paused and looked toward the entrance. "We are ready," she said quietly, "but we must move soon. They will come at dawn." Ethan stood, feeling a mixture of fear and determination. "Lead the way." "I trust you." They left the sanctuary carefully, moving through hidden paths known only to Lyra. The forests of Iridian 4 were alive with strange sounds, the calls of alien birds, the rustling of glowing plants. Ethan could see the light of the Seekers in the distance, scanning the landscape. "They are searching," Lyra whispered. "We must stay out of sight." They climbed a rocky ridge, using the natural formations as cover. From their vantage point, Ethan could see the settlement below, peaceful and unaware of the danger above. He realized how fragile life could be, how easily it could be disrupted if the shard fell into the wrong hands. Suddenly, a sharp flash of light swept across the ridge. Ethan ducked instinctively. "They saw us," he shouted. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Not yet, but they sense us nearby. We must move faster." They sprinted through narrow passages, leaping over crystal formations and weaving between trees. Ethan's legs ached, but adrenaline pushed him forward. He could hear the Seekers' chants growing louder, the vibration in the air sending shivers down his spine. Finally, they reached a hidden cliffside path that led to a natural tunnel in the mountains. Lyra pressed her hand against the rock. Symbols glowed faintly, and a hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow passage illuminated by soft blue light. Inside, the air was cool and still. Ethan followed Lyra carefully, the containment case secured in her arms. The shard pulsed softly, its light reflecting on the walls. It was a beacon of hope in the darkness, and he knew they had to protect it at all costs. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the tunnel, one of the Seekers, glowing eyes fixed on them. Ethan froze for a split second, then remembered their training. He pressed a small button on his wrist device, sending a pulse of light that caused the Seeker to stagger backward. "Go!" Lyra shouted. They ran deeper into the tunnel, weaving between natural rock formations and glowing crystals. The Seeker regained balance and lunged after them, but Ethan and Lyra were faster, moving with coordination and skill. After what felt like hours, they reached a vast underground chamber. Stalactites hung from the ceiling, and the floor was smooth stone. In the center was a natural pool of glowing water. Lyra placed the shard carefully near the pool, and it floated above the surface, spinning slowly. "This is perfect," she said. "The water amplifies the shard's protective energy. Even if the Seekers enter, they will not be able to take it." Ethan nodded, breathing heavily. "Then we wait here and defend it if we have to." Outside, the Seekers searched tirelessly, but they could not sense the shard. Inside, Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, ready for whatever came next. In that moment, he understood something powerful. Humans could rise to challenges, protect what mattered, and fight alongside beings far older and wiser than themselves. Lyra looked at him and smiled faintly. "You have courage, Ethan. Perhaps humanity is ready for more than we ever imagined." Ethan smiled back. "Then let's make sure they see it." The chamber glowed softly, the shard spinning above the pool, casting light on the two unlikely allies. Outside, the dawn broke, signaling a new day, a day that would test their strength, their rage and the bond between human and Arvelian. The chamber was quiet, but tension hung thick in the air. Ethan and Lyra stood beside the floating shard, its soft glow reflecting in their eyes. Outside, the Seekers were still searching, unaware of the protective energy that now surrounded the artifact. Every passing second felt like a test of patience and courage. "We cannot stay here forever," Ethan said, his voice low. "They will keep coming until they find a way inside." Lyra nodded. "Yes, but we have time. The shard's energy is strongest here, amplified by the pool. If we wait until they tire, we can act with the advantage." Hours passed. The chamber remained still, the glowing shard spinning slowly, casting calm light over Ethan and Lyra. The young human had learned much from her: patience, strategy, and trust. He realized that courage alone wasn't enough. Intelligence and teamwork were equally important. Suddenly, the soft hum of the shard changed. A ripple of energy pulsed outward, alerting them. Ethan tensed. They've found the entrance. Through the tunnel's mouth, 3 Seekers appeared, their glowing eyes scanning the chamber. One raised a staff, sending a beam of energy toward the pool. The shard responded immediately, spinning faster, its light intensifying. A shield of brilliant blue surrounded it, deflecting the attack harmlessly. Lyra's hands moved gracefully through the air, guiding the energy. "Stay close to me," she instructed. "We must keep the shield active." Ethan moved to her side, his own small energy tool ready. Though he lacked Lyra's skill, he followed her movements carefully, sending pulses of light in rhythm with her gestures. The chamber glowed like a miniature sun, the shard at its heart, defending itself and its protectors. The Seekers hesitated, realizing the shard could not be taken by force. "You cannot hold it," one shouted. "We are not holding it to control," Lyra replied, her voice calm but firm. "We protect it because we understand its purpose. That is more than you do." Ethan felt a surge of pride. She trusted him, and together they formed a bond stronger than fear. With careful coordination, they repelled the Seekers, forcing them to retreat down the tunnel. Their energy tools and Lyra's manipulation of the shard's power created a barrier no ordinary force could penetrate. The Seekers vanished from sight, their frustrated cries echoing through the tunnels. Ethan exhaled, sweat on his brow. "I can't believe we did it," he said, amazement in his voice. Lyra turned to him, her emerald eyes shining. "You did it," she said softly. "Without your courage, without your willingness to act, we could not have succeeded. Humans have potential beyond what others see." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep respect for her and her people. I think we're showing them that humans can protect, not just destroy." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and that is exactly why hope exists. You have proven it today. Perhaps your kind is ready to rise beyond fear, beyond old mistakes." For the first time, Ethan realized the true meaning of the shard's presence. It was not just knowledge or power, it was a test, a symbol, a measure of whether a species could protect what was greater than themselves. And humans, he thought, had just taken their first step. They remained in the sanctuary for hours, reinforcing the protective energy around the shard and planning for the future. Lyra taught Ethan more about the patterns of the first light, about how to sense danger, and how to harmonize human energy with Arvelian technology. Each lesson brought them closer together, not as master and maid, but as equals, partners, and friends. By the time the twin suns rose over the horizon again, the Seekers had given up their search for the day. The skies were clear, and the sanctuary remained untouched. Ethan looked at Lyra, admiration and gratitude written across his face. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for trusting me, for showing me all of this." Lyra smiled softly. "And thank you, Ethan, for believing that humans can rise above fear and greed. Together we protect not just the shard, but the future of both our worlds." Ethan nodded. He knew the challenges were far from over. The Seekers would return, and the Council would not easily forgive what Lyra had done. But he also knew something stronger now. Humanity could face the stars with courage, intelligence, and honor. The shard continued to spin above the pool, glowing with a calm, radiant light. Its energy filled the chamber with hope and strength. Ethan and Lyra stood side by side, ready for whatever the future might bring, united in purpose and trust. And in that moment, among the glowing halls of the sanctuary, a human and an alien learned a truth older than the stars themselves, that courage, loyalty, and hope could shine brighter than any weapon, stronger than any fear, and more enduring than any darkness. The universe outside remained vast and uncertain. But within the sanctuary, light and hope burned brighter than ever.